Hi, it's Catherine here from wiseoldowl.slt.com. This week I wanted to tell you about my 6-week How to Say challenge. It's an email challenge that you can sign up to that's completely free, and it's there to help children who are unclear in their speech. Now, I know over the last few weeks I've talked a lot about language development and vocabulary building, and that's all really important. That's the cake, if you like, in children's speech, language and communication. But the icing on the cake, and which is sometimes ignored, are the speech sounds and the pronunciation. And obviously, if a child is going to be successful when they go into their first year at school with literacy, it's going to be really helpful if they can actually say the sounds that they are connecting to the letters, to the graphemes. Now, I have just screened all the children that are going to be moving up into school in one particular nursery. It took me about 10 minutes for each child, so I was easily able to do 20 children in a morning. And actually that identified a handful of children who had difficulty with one particular sound. And these children were chatty, they had good attention skills, they had good social interaction, and actually if you were to ask their nursery staff, they probably wouldn't highlight any concerns. And they are very confident communicators, but I think that if they could just work on a couple of sounds, it would help them to be a bit clearer. And also when they go up to school, when they're making those connections with sounds and letters, then obviously they're not going to be getting confused. So my 6-week challenge is for those children. It's not for children who can't sit and interact with an adult for 10 minutes. These children have got to be able to cooperate with adult-led activities. It's not for children who perhaps don't have enough language skills yet, and actually it's not for children who are so unintelligible that you just wouldn't know where to start in order to start working on the sounds. This 6-week challenge is for children who perhaps just need a little bit of help, and they would be well on their way to having a fully contrastive speech sound system. So the great thing about this challenge is that if you have a little bit of time in your nursery setting, you can do that 10 minutes with a little group of children, or if you would prefer to recommend it to your parents, then they can sign up and do the challenge themselves. The idea is that you're going to spend 5 or 10 minutes a day, well possibly 4 or 5 times a week, targeting an activity that I send you each week, and I take you through the stages that we would go through with a child if we were seeing them in a speech and language therapy clinic. So the first session, you get a couple of emails just to make sure that the child is right for the challenge, and what is expected from you. It is a free challenge, but obviously it's not time free. It is going to be successful if you put into it a little bit of work yourself. So these are for the motivated parents or the motivated staff that just want to help children on their way. The activities are going to be fun, and the children aren't really going to notice that they're working on their sounds. So the 6 stages for working on the speech sounds is, first of all, 1, auditory discrimination between the 2 sounds. So for example, the examples that I give are all based on a child not being able to say k, because that's the most common sound difficulty. So, and often they replace k with t, so they might say tat for cat. And so the first week would be solely working on them hearing the difference between k and t. And then the next week would also be on auditory discrimination. It would be on listening to the difference between those 2 sounds, and this time it would be between sounds at the beginning of words. So for example, toffee versus coffee, or tea versus key. Because if the child can't hear the difference, you might need to spend a little bit of time working on that before they're able to know when to use the sounds themselves. Week number 3 is all about practicing the sound by itself. So maybe putting your finger on your tongue and letting the child have that opportunity. If the child really struggles, then don't worry too much about this. You might need a little bit more of speech and language therapy guidance, a bit more specialist input, but very often they can say the sound, it's just that they're not using it yet. So that's week number 3. Week number 4 is all about blending that new sound with vowels to make short words, which might make sense or they might be made up words. So you might have the target sound at the beginning of the consonant vowel combination, like ki, ku, kai, or you might have it at the end, so it's a vowel consonant combination, like eek, ook, auk. These are very tiny stages that you take your child through before you can expect them to start using that sound in their conversation. So that is week 4. Week 5 is then the children starting to use their target sound with words, for example, saying coffee or toffee, key or tea. And I do make sure that I have both sounds so that the child doesn't start saying kiger for tiger and key for tea. They've got to understand that sometimes they use k sound and sometimes they use t sound. And then the last session is starting to put those target words into a sentence. It's broken up like that because you'll generally find that the children will fly through some stages, but they might get stuck at other stages. You might want to spend a week longer doing a particular activity, or you might want to move straight on to the next activity. The great thing now about the How to Say 6 Weeks Challenge is as soon as you sign up, you start getting those emails. I hope you found this video useful. I've got the link on my Facebook page. I've also got a specific group that you can go into. It's early days, there's not very many comments on it at the moment, but that's the place to ask all those questions related to the 6-week challenge. And I will link into the bottom of the YouTube description and in my blog so that you'll be able to sign up. Please do share this information with anybody you know that might want to support their children with unclear speech in order to get them ready for starting school in the new academic year.